Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth, Mike Evans. Week 1 is done. I'm kicking your ass. It feels great. As per usual, I mean, the whole 9 yards just feels great. Week 1, although there is some pretty tough news.
Yeah, you can talk trash to me later in the week when we do our picks for week 2. But yeah, tough news. I mean, this is really tough news as we're starting to talk here. Official confirmation: Aaron Rodgers done for the season with a ruptured Achilles tendon.
Yeah,
just an absolute gut punch to Aaron, to Jets fans, to the entire NFL.
Yeah, it really is. And the guy had such high hopes for the Jets. I picked them to win their division. Picked them to go to the Super Bowl, I think. Didn't I? Didn't I pick the Jets?
I don't think you had the Jets going to the Super Bowl.
No, I think I did.
You definitely had them winning the division.
There's no question that the Jets are a Super Bowl or were a Super Bowl contender based upon that defense I watched in the opening game Monday night, based upon, having Aaron Rodgers there. And, one thing I did hear yesterday, and I haven't gone back and watched the coach's tape yet because it hasn't downloaded yet, but it'll be here this afternoon, so I'll see the coach's tape. But on the 4th play of the season, 4 freaking plays. It just goes to show you the fragility of your career, of playing. It's just incredible that more guys don't get injured. But what do we always say about the NFL? It's not if, it's when. There's a 100% chance that you're going to get hurt. I mean, it's just the way NFL football operates. But on the 4th play, and I heard a lot of people complain about, the protection and this, that, and the other. On that particular play, it looked to me like Brown, the left tackle, was in an automatic cut situation. And we do this sometimes in a 3-step quick throw drop where whether it's a bubble screen, and usually the tackle's releasing and it's a trap on a bubble screen, so it's not on a bubble screen, but a quick 3-step slant. We want to hit a little now route, little smoke screen, whatever the case may be, where you go cut. And all you're trying to do, even if you don't get the guy on the ground, which he didn't, if you get his hands down, it's to open up the window so we can make that throw as a quarterback. And it looked to me like an automatic design cut from the offense. That was part of the program. He gets the defensive end. I think it was Shaq. No. It was Leonard Floyd, I believe. Floyd, he gets the hands down, and yet, Aaron doesn't throw it for whatever reason. I didn't see. I haven't looked at the coach's tape. Was the receiver didn't get open? Did they not run the wrong route? Did he not, whatever it was, did he feel like there was something behind it that he could get to? And what an unfortunate situation for the Jets, because watching that defense play last night, that's a legit Super Bowl contender with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback.
Well, we'll get to what it means for the Jets, but what does it mean for Aaron? Because this is not only means his season is over, but at age 39, age 40, the likelihood that he can come back from this kind of injury. Yeah. Does he even want to try to come back?
Yeah, I think yes. I think the answer is the likelihood, yeah. Aaron's in great shape. He'll rub some ghee butter on it and he'll be fine. No, all kidding aside, he's in great shape. He takes really good care of himself. I really do believe he'll bounce back from that. I believe he has to come back. I believe unfinished business. I believe if you want a seat at the big boys table, meaning you want a seat with the big boy quarterbacks, and you got to have more than one championship. You've said it, and I've repeated it because you're my intellectual property, so I can steal anything I want from you. It's not even stealing because I own it.
He does.
I own.
All the time.
I own it. No, not you signed the contract. You are my intellectual property. Anything you say automatically is mine. I don't adhere to the rule of 3 that normally I adhere by.
Well, so at least right now you can give me some credit. So what have you stolen from me?
Well, normally here's what I do. If I get it from somebody else, so just so the folks know how to operate this. So like Mike says something on this podcast that you guys really like. Odds not good, but let's just say that Mike says something that you guys really like. The first time you repeat that, you have to credit Mike. Mike Evans on the Stinkin Truth Podcast said this, and I really liked it. Bam, then you repeat it. Then you can say, Hey, I was listening to Stinkin Truth Podcast. Some guy on there said this, and I really liked it.
Some guy. Now I'm some guy.
And then at the third time, it's just yours.
Sure.
Man, I've always believed this.
Yeah.
So, but
Rock solid belief.
right?
Yeah.
You're my intellectual property, so I just take whatever I want from you. The dynasty that never was.
Yeah.
That's the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
One championship with a quarterback who is one of the best all time. Might have gone down as the best quarterback ever to do it. Had he had multiple championships. That's why I don't think there's any question in my mind that Aaron Rodgers does not retire. He comes back. He's back for the Jets next year. But man, dude, all the work, all the everything that you have done, and 4 plays in, your history. It's devastating, man.
What does it mean for the Jets now? So you've got a really good defense. You're right.
Yeah.
That defense looked amazing. Do you just ride with Zach Wilson? This is somebody you spent a number 2 overall pick on.
Right.
And a lot of times during the summer, we heard it if you were watching Hard Knocks, the idea that he's really learned a lot under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers has kind of taken him under his wing, and that Zach Wilson's already improving under and with Aaron Rodgers. Can you throw him out there and feel good about it?
I think you can throw. I think you're forced to throw him out like you were last night. Are you going to feel good about it? Probably not. I mean, he made some big time throws. He's a big time athlete. He's got big time arm talent, and you saw him make some throws. You also saw him make some throws. You're like, ooh, like the touchdown to Garrett Wilson. By the way, amazing catch. One of the great catches of the season. You know, that's a back shoulder fade throwing 3 yards inside on the front shoulder. Like that's not where you're supposed to throw that football. Like things like that, to come away with a touchdown on that just goes to show you. The other thing, you think about them in the red zone playing the clock at the end of that game to kick that field goal. Come on, if you have Aaron Rodgers, you're taking a shot. I think Troy Aikman said it, man. If you got Aaron Rodgers, you got one-on-one to the outside where you've got Garrett Wilson ready to go and get a release, you're taking that shot trying to score a touchdown, trying to put the stamp on it. Instead, you're playing for 3 points and you're relying on your defense, which I agree with when Zach Wilson's your quarterback. I totally agree with it. And you've got 2 really good running backs. Breece Hall was amazing. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is a really good back. He's done that for a long time. But bottom line is, you know, you're going to be forced. I don't know if you go out and try to get somebody, you know, like who's out there. Do you ask Matt Ryan to come out of retirement? Do you go after Phillip Rivers? Remember, there was a report last year that had the San Francisco 49ers beaten the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship. Phillip Rivers, in all his glory, was going to trot out there for the San Francisco 49ers during the Super Bowl.
You're leaving one guy out, the juiciest of all.
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
It's
already, come on, it's out there. People are talking about the idea that we know Tom's in shape. It's been one of the worst kept speculative rumors out there. The idea that, hey, if Jimmy Garoppolo struggles, maybe he goes play for the Raiders and Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Is it that far-fetched that if the Jets were to call Tom Brady, think about it. Come on, Brady going into New York, rescuing the Jets.
After he went in Tampa and rescued the Buccaneers to a championship?
And kind of maybe a shot at Bill Belichick?
Similar, like structure-wise. Similar. Like think about the way Tampa Bay was built. Unbelievable defense. You know, ability to rush the passer, linebacking core, how good they are at the linebacking core, where they were on the back end. The Jets are very similar. And you could probably make a compelling argument the Jets are better than Tampa was at that. Then you look at the weapons. I mean, they got Lazard, they got Garrett Wilson, they've got some players. They got 2 backs in the backfield that I'd put against, you know, most backs in the National Football League. You tell me they don't have a chance to be a world champion, a contender? Do you think they call? You're damn right.
You got to make the call, right?
Absolutely.
Tom couldn't do that. You go play for the Jets. That's Fredo. I mean, that's a Fredo moment right there. You don't come back from that with the Godfather.
Dude.
With Belichick, with Papa Kraft. I mean, you You burn that bridge.
That's
forever.
That's De Niro in The Untouchables with the baseball bat when he's like, team. What's the deal? Team. Everybody goes, team. And then he just absolutely thunder punches that guy over the top. Yeah. It's one of the great gruesome scenes of all time.
Good family fun.
You got to make the call.
You got to make the call. What do you think Tom would be interested? I don't. I think he's moved on.
Dude, if he wants to, he could do Jets part-time as well as runway supermodel. It'd be like Zoolander playing for the Jets.
And by the way, you brought up Phillip Rivers. It has already been confirmed by Kyle Shanahan that had San Francisco somehow found a way to win that NFC Championship game in Philadelphia, that Phillip Rivers would have been signed off the couch and would have started for the 49ers in the Super Bowl. It would have been the greatest NFL story ever.
Dude,
I'm so mad at the Philadelphia Eagles for ruining this.
Could you see him wandering in there, the stadium, dressed like Woody from Toy Story, got a big 10-gallon hat on, pair of chaps, spurs jingling, ching, 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 ching. Andy written on the bottom of his boot. I do. I'm your savior.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been
awesome.
Great. But no, can the Jets still be a playoff team with Zach Wilson? Yes or no?
Yes, with that defense, yes, and that running game, yes. But Zach Wilson's got to get better. You know, I just, as bad as you feel for Aaron Rodgers, and I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers, think about the education you would have gotten if you're Zach Wilson. Think about sitting behind that legend and seeing how he processes the game. Like, he once told me in a meeting that I really don't look at the defensive backfield. I look at the front. Because the front, what are they playing? They're playing at 25, they're playing at 57, they're playing even, 4-3, they're playing 3-4, 3-4 with a reduction, 35, 37. What are they playing? Because in this particular front, if they play this, I know I'm getting cover 1 or I'm getting cover 3 or I'm getting like him going through it was like watching A Beautiful Mind. He's just talking to himself. You know, I ask him one question. He's not even answering the question. He's just going through, like, how would I play me if I was playing me? Well, I mean, he can't play me in that front because I'm going to...
Suddenly numbers appeared above his head.
Like, it was fascinating. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff, right? But you think about the education you would have gotten if you're Zach Wilson. Hey, there's a reason that Brett Favre, who was mentored by the Magic Man, right? What's the guy?
Don Majkowski?
Yeah. What's his name?
Wasn't it Don Majkowski?
Yeah, Dom, right?
I think it was Don.
Don? No, Dom. Is it Dom? D-O-M?
Keep chatting.
Dom. Well, anyhow, but he didn't play. He didn't play right away. Remember, he got drafted by Atlanta. He was in Atlanta at first, right, under I think Chris Miller, and then got traded because he was a second rounder. Got traded to Green Bay before he got to play. But Aaron's sitting on the bench for 3 or 4 years behind Brett Favre, and then Jordan Love coming in, and Jordan Love looked the part yesterday.
Don.
Oh, Don. Okay. The Magic Man.
Yeah.
Anyhow, long story short, to have that kind of tutelage, if you're Zach Wilson, to know, like, I'm going to know more about football than I ever knew at any time, and I'm going to get a better understanding of this game playing behind that guy, and now that is gone for you? That's tough.
It sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for the Jets. It sucks for the league.
It really does.
It really does, because this was a great story.
Yeah.
This is a compelling story. People were interested. I know I'm not a Jets fan, but I was really curious to see how this thing played out. And anytime you have a really good New York team, it's great for the league. It's great for the NFL. One last thing on the injury. Immediately there was some criticism came from one was David Bakhtiari, Aaron's good friend from the Packer days, complaining about the field.
Yeah.
MetLife Stadium, artificial turf, and the role that possibly played in this injury.
Yeah, it just isn't as forgiving. You know, he got that foot bent, and you can actually see the replay. You can see when it pops. It's nasty.
Yeah.
You know, the whole calf goes. Anyhow, there's a ripple through his leg. But, yeah, I mean, the athletes that we put out in the NFL, like different than my day. Who cares, right? It doesn't matter. But the athletes, the investment you're making in these athletes, to not have them playing on real turf, where who knows, maybe the release ratio on the shoe on real turf, maybe the turf just digs up faster. There's less resistance. There's less of a grab, and instead of ripping your Achilles tendon, maybe you just have a little bit of a calf strain. Like I don't know. I mean, it may have ripped regardless, but as much as we've invested in the National Football League, as much as we've invested in these players, as big as this league is, as much revenue as we create, shame on the NFL for allowing teams to continue to use artificial turf.
You played in the days where it was brutal. Some of these places, you could still see that. You could see the concrete in between the seams, and you also played on grass. Does it make that big of a difference?
Huge difference. Just what the wear and tear on your legs, the way you feel after a game, just the overall cushion you have when you're on grass, it makes a gigantic difference. So, yeah, I mean, again, you're paying these quarterbacks. In the case of Deshaun Watson, $240 million completely guaranteed. Everybody else is getting close to $180, $200 million guaranteed. Fully guaranteed. I don't know what whether it was Joe Burrow recently or Herbert. What's Bear's name? What's his first name?
Justin
Herbert. Air Bear. Chargers going to charge her.
Chargers going to charge her. Saw that already in week one.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Joe Burrow, what would be your message to the fans of the teams that really struggled, like really looked bad in week one? The Bengals, the Giants, the Bills, more specifically Josh Allen. What would be your message week one performances?
Yeah, I mean, I know in week one they're ready to give the coronation to the Cowboys right now, right? Oh, we're going to win the championship. I mean, my advice would be pump the brakes. Every one of us has been in a bad matchup. Every one of us has had our ass kicked at one point or another, and it's how you respond to that. I mean, we won a championship in the 1997 season, Super Bowl, as a wild card in Denver. We played a game in San Francisco late in the season, Mike, where we go out to San Francisco and they're retiring Joe Montana's jersey, and Jerry Rice is making his comeback from his torn patella tendon, and Huey Lewis and the News, I think, are singing the national anthem, and every actor, every big-time celebrity in Northern California is there. Walk out, and there's Oliver Stone standing right there, eyeballing guys, I mean, he's just standing there. Like, why are you here? And I'll never forget, it's all kinds of rockets and like bottle rockets and fireworks, and the whole stadium is smoky. And I turned to one of the guys I play with. I go, I do believe we're getting our ass kicked tonight. Like, they're going to kick our ass. And we got our ass kicked that night. We still won the Super Bowl. So it happens. Sometimes you walk into a buzzsaw and ain't a whole lot you can do about it.
But it is a reminder, right, that there are plenty of NFL teams out there that look at week one, maybe even week two, as simply an extension of the preseason.
I'll never forget. I think it was the 2008 season, where Peyton Manning had a bursa sac under his knee that he needed to operate it on, and he didn't play in the preseason. And they started the season. I want to say they started the season 2-3 and ended up going 12-4, but he didn't play well right off the bat. And they were asking him about it, and he said it would be disrespectful to the game. I remember the quote. It would be disrespectful to the game to think that I could take the whole preseason off and come out here and play well. And it's disrespectful to the game. Joe Burrow to not get any snaps and to have the calf injury. Disrespectful to the game to think you're going to come out and just perform when you haven't played all preseason. You haven't practiced. Like, I think that's one of the things you got to take away from this weekend. I think the other thing, there are things that you're going to have to look at, like how do we protect Joe Burrow? Like how many times have we let this guy get hit over the last 2 years? We're going to have to be better. Daniel Jones. Hey, maybe he can't just be a straight drop back passer. Maybe we're going to have to use him in that. Remember his breakout season in the National Football League. Oh, the thing that got him the big giant $140, $160 million contract. What was it? 15 touchdowns passing, 7 rushing. I mean, that guy was running more of a collegiate offense, more of the Baltimore Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson than he was running, a Peyton Manning / Tom Brady / Aaron Rodgers type of offense. So I think sometimes you look for that progression, you look for that growth, you look for all those things, and at some point you realize maybe that's not what's best for us as an offense or a defense, and we got to go back, small up and simple down.
But is it... So what you're telling me, I guess what the league is telling me is that we would rather sacrifice and be putting ourselves in a position where we may play a real bad opening week game, but if it means not risking anybody in the preseason, we're going to do it. In a league where one game can make all the difference between making the playoffs. But, I mean, just look at a year ago. You had teams like the Patriots, the Steelers, who else just barely, missed the playoffs? Washington,
right?
Detroit. I mean, these are all teams that a game here or there decided whether or not they make the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what I think you've seen, and I know we saw it here in Denver, and I think we've seen it throughout the league, where everybody was going in that direction, or we're not going to play anybody. Like it was. I'll never forget. It's 5 or 6 years ago when Sean McVay took over the Rams and didn't play anybody in the preseason. I'm like, oh, this is going to be an abject disaster. And they actually played well coming right out of the gate. But the bottom line, I think you've seen it swing back the other way, where teams are managing their players, but everybody is playing in the preseason. They're like, we've got to get reps in the preseason because we've got to start fast. We've got to.
Who had, to you, the most impressive performance? If we are going to put stock in the first week, who had the most impressive? Was it the 49ers or the Cowboys?
Both incredibly.
I asked you to pick one.
I know, both incredibly impressive. I will go with,
well, I guess maybe I should go back to even include Thursday, the Lions.
Yeah. Well, the Lions scored 14 points offensively.
Okay.
And the Kansas City did that, held them to 14 points offensively without Chris Jones, their number one player, who, by the way, we haven't even talked about it. Just that's a huge signing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
1 year deal.
1 year deal. You want to talk about epic. I think it's the Cats group that represents him, if I'm not mistaken. And they've got Chris Jones, and then they've got a bunch of also-rans, Byron Pringle and some other guys. And you know how important it is? There's 3 entities. There's the team. I was talking to Wingo about this, Trey Wingo. There's the team, there's the player, and then there's the group or the agency. And what do the agents want? They want the biggest contract in NFL history for their particular player because why? That's a marketing device. It's like Deion Sanders up at CU. You start winning games, you create all this hype, you get a bunch of NIL deals, and guess what? Every kid in the world wants to get in the transfer portal. And for them to just basically acquiesce to a 1 year deal and get Chris Jones back in there does not bode well for the agent. And, they wanted to set the tone and set a new record, and they're not getting it. But that's a huge signing, getting him back in the fold, because that guy is – he's in the top 3. He might usurp Aaron Donald. That's sacrilege for me to say that. So he won't usurp Aaron Donald in my book as the number 1. But some dumb people might put him above Aaron Donald. Just the dumb people. But yeah, he's not there. But he's probably number 2.
Speaking of insulting people,
yeah, please.
You gave it to the Cowboys a couple weeks ago on this very podcast. I'm wondering if you're prepared to eat some crow after how dominant the Cowboys looked the other day.
They won a week 1 game. No, I expect the Cowboys to be a dominant regular season performer. That's what the Cowboys do. They win in the regular season. They win things that don't matter. The preseason, I fully expect them, or excuse me, in the postseason, not the preseason. Regular season, I expect them to dominate. They're that talented. They really are. They're that talented. In the postseason, take a dump in their helmets.
So all that Cowboy fans should take out of this dominant performance against the Giants is you're just being set up for another epic postseason fail.
Yeah, you guys are going to have the greatest, maybe one of the greatest regular seasons in Cowboys history. Right before you spit the bit in the postseason. By the way, this is a trend that's worth watching. Look at the NFC East with Philly, with the Cowboys, and with Washington. San Francisco probably started it. Where the Washington Commanders kept 11 defensive linemen on their 53-man roster. 11. And remember, D linemen don't normally play special teams. 11. The Philadelphia Eagles have a rotation. It is a trend in the league. Keep a ton of defensive linemen and rotate those guys. Keep those dudes fresh. And you look at the Cowboys, they did that. They just absolutely, that was men amongst boys when you're talking about how they manhandled the Giants up front. But it's a big trend throughout the league. Try to get as many really good defensive linemen as possible and rotate those guys, keep them fresh, make the offense study multiple dudes. That's hard to do.
Last thought, how was it to be in Washington?
Phenomenal. I actually, I've done probably 6-7 Washington games over the course of the last couple of years. Never once have I made a mistake, whether they're the Washington football team or whether they're the Commanders. Never once did I call them the Redskins until Sunday. I accidentally went Redskins. I apologize. Old habits die hard. But I truly believe it was because of the atmosphere. Mike, I compared it to what's going on here in CU Boulder with Deion Sanders. The excitement in this town for CU football. I've lived here 20-some-odd years, 25 years. I've never ever seen anything like this with the excitement for CU Buffs. It's incredible. And I went back there, and it's like Washington has been a jewel in the crown of the National Football League for a long time. It was for a long time when I got there and cut my teeth in the National Football League. They were one of the crown jewels. And it has been so disheartening, so legitimately disheartening that you don't feel that. You felt that back. As soon as you pulled in the stadium, everybody tailgate. You got there. Every jersey that you've, from Darryl Green to Billy Kilmer to Sonny Jurgensen. Billy Kilmer and Sonny Jurgensen were there in the owner's box. John Riggins was there. Charles Mann, Champ Bailey, Clinton Portis. The amount of guys I reconnected with, it was phenomenal. And the fans were going crazy. John Riggins stands up and, the crowd goes wild. He's on the Jumbotron. He's standing up in the owner's box right beside us where we're calling the game. And, he's got a coat on. He looks great. And people are going, Riggo, 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 Riggo. And he just it was like a scene from, remember when U2 sang at the Super Bowl and Bono after 2011, Bono opens up his jacket. He's got an American flag in there and you just go freaking ape bananas, right? So the Riggo, 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 and he just goes like this, bam. And he's got the big Redskin emblem in there, the logo in there. And it was, the crowd just went bananas. It was awesome, man. It really was. And
you ran into Magic Johnson too.
Ran into Magic and talked to Magic for a while, just about how important it is to bring the fans back into the fold. Mm-hmm. To connect with the fans again. And that's really what they're doing more than anything else right now, is connecting with the fans. We hear you. We know how loyal you've been. We know how bad it's been for the last 20 years. But trust us, this is going to get rectified. And Magic is such a wonderful man, and his magnetism and his smile, man. Yeah. He is just, and I hadn't seen him since we worked together at ESPN, so I hadn't seen him. It was a big reunion, so it was fun, man. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Well, good. And who you got this week?
I've got the Giants at Arizona, which looked like a much better game before Sunday night. And then that happened.
Well, they always say, that you make your biggest improvement between week 1 and week 2. So
Who is they?
I don't know, but let's hope they are right.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they are right as well. Anyhow, hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth Podcast, thank you so much for listening and for making us number one.
Are we number one?
I just made that up.
I mean, who's going to?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Who's going to argue?
Exactly.
I'm number one in my book.
That's right.
And you're number one in my book.
And you're number one in mine.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you idiots. Hey, we'll be back with you later in the week to discuss me absolutely pulling a Shawshank Redemption. The sisters on Andy Dufresne just ass whooping on Mike when it comes to the moneymaker picks. So look forward to that. For everybody involved, thank you so much, and we'll be back with you later on this week.